of the recordings from the LSO Drumbeat. Primary focus of this particular recording is going to be on the OCC standards, the JDTA, talking about the 7 action verbs as part of JDTA and how that impacts and links to the LO module. What we're looking at right now is the OCC standards. I'm still using the culinary specialist as one of the examples. As you'll see that the cleaning galley utensils, one of the ones I talked about in the previous recordings, is still listed here. It also lists the E5 task of conduct sanitation inspections. So these are slowly but surely starting to build you out a learning continuum of requirements associated to the culinary specialist job associated with sanitation. So as you're starting to translate this to JDTAs, you're looking at these things through family groups. Currently, none of the occupational standards use any of the 7 action verbs, which is fine. OCC standards and NAVMAC are defining various work tasks that sailors perform as part of the job. The reason we adopted the 7 action verbs for the JDTAs is it allows us to group those into like family groups and then to organize that data so we can identify not only modules but lessons, which are terminal learning objectives, and sections, which are our enabling learning objectives in the NAVETRE 136 construct. So I'm going to select JDTAs really quick, and we'll look at this construct in practice as part of a JDTA. In the JDTA now, you'll will see the culinary specialist is the occupation. In the occupational standards, culinary specialist has 2 jobs, culinary specialist and leading culinary specialist. If acquisition programs had a 3rd job for culinary specialist, it would also be added as a 3rd job. The intent, once again though, is that they link it back to an occupational standard so they can identify the functional area group out of the Navy taxonomy classification codes so they can acquire the duty. So acquisition programs will still define tasks the same way they always have. It just, by lining them back to occupational standards, they should be able to align them to the duty. In this particular case, the duty is sanitation. In the previous recording, I showed where we acquired that data from the Navy Taxonomy Classification Code in the family functional or the functional title group. Then you'll see right here the task. This is a task that we created. It's based off the conduct sanitation inspections. At the highest level, you supervise, you manage, you coordinate. It's important to understand that as a task level, that's kind of your end state task associated with sanitation. As we move that data over to the projects tab, I can change that learning objectives action verb to anything that's appropriate. So like right now it says supervise. If I wanted to change it to coordinate, direct, perform, if I wanted to say operate the galley equipment or the scullery equipment for cleaning, I could actually change the action verbs to impact that JDTA task. But those JDTA tasks or those learning objectives being developed in the projects tab will be linked back to that JDTA task so we have those linkages. Because when people start looking for training associated to an area based on their pay grade, that linkage will help them show them the entire continuum of training associated to that task. The 7 action verbs are important because it's what starts forming that construct. The 7 action verbs are operate, maintain, perform, direct, coordinate, operate, or manage, and supervise. Supervise and the manage one are the relatively new ones. There's an ongoing discussion as part of Sailor 2025 that the AJM model, the apprentice, journeyman, and master model, is going to be changed to apprentice, journeyman, supervisor. So there's supervisor. The first 5 action verbs, the operate, maintain, perform, direct, coordinate, are out of NAVETRE 131. So that's important that starts building your construct. Your task level becomes your lesson level in NAVentry 136, which is also your terminal learning objective. Now, you can make them your enabling learning objectives as well, depending on what the construct is that you need to be teaching to what your target audience is. So you can build learning objectives off the duty, the task, the subtask, the step, or the case setter level. So all we're looking about doing here is organizing the data into a work taxonomy that makes it easier for us to tie training back to. As you're looking at the subtasks now, those really are subtasks. You can still build learning off them. Those would become your enabling learning objectives. Key thing with enabling learning objectives currently is enabling learning objectives are supposed to be performance assessed. So you want to make sure they're performance-based objectives and that they can be assessed. Does that mean that knowledge can't still be associated to those? The answer is yes. Every single content type has a fact element and has the option or has the capability of doing knowledge-based testing associated to the task. In some cases, and hopefully more in the future, we do more authentic-based assessments where the performance and the knowledge are assessed together as part of the work. So this is a construct to make that happen. So in this particular case, you'll see the clean food service areas, and then you see the conduct sanitation inspections. The conduct sanitation inspections is the E5 level task. There currently is no task higher than that. So based upon the current OCCS standards construct, once they've completed all of those enabling learning objectives, they should be able to complete the terminal learning objective of supervised sanitation inspections, which is probably accomplished through some type of PQS or structured on-the-job training programs. What we've included here is a really quick description of the mapping between JDTAs to AIM-LO module and the various understandings of how those link. The other one we've included here is the 7 action verbs. Please note the note at the bottom of if there's a instance, like for example welding or first aid or another one of those action verbs like that, they can be substituted for one of the 7 action verbs, especially in the soft skill area.